So there's been a lot going on in my head lately about work stuff and things that I want to talk about. And a lot of it has to do with nutrition, especially with dogs. So I'm going to try to do a few part series talking about different things. Grain-free diets, food allergies, touching on byproducts, and the fact that you don't have to spend $100 a month on a small bag of food to make sure that your dog is getting proper nutrition. So let's start with talking about kind of dogs in general. First of all, there's a lot of information that you can read on Google that says that maybe dogs are carnivores, and that's not true. Dogs are omnivores like we are. In fact, all you have to do is look at their teeth. They have molars in the back that are made for grinding grains and things like that. And then they have the sharp teeth in the front. So if you look at, say, a cat's teeth for comparison, all of their teeth, including the ones in the back, are sharply pointed, and that's because cats are carnivores. So that's one distinction there between dogs and cats. So dogs don't necessarily need a super high percentage of protein, especially the people that are out there that are comparing dogs to wolves. Some of the stuff that they talk about is pretty illogical. When wolves, say, kill another animal, because they are hunters, when they eat them, they don't just pick off all the meat. They eat everything. They eat the internal organs as well, which is maybe gross to talk about or think about, but that's exactly what happens. And a lot of the animals that they eat they're herbivores, which means that when they eat the intestines and the things that are in the intestines, you know what's in there? Grains. So we're going to have a whole nother segment talking about grain-free. There's a lot of new research that's come out that says maybe, these diets can cause some heart issues. So we're going to address that another time. So just know that they eat all of these things. And it's not just the protein. So they need a well-balanced diet just like we do. The other thing is that wolves don't just eat prey. They forage a little bit in the wild as well. So this comparison of dogs eating the same as wolves, there's two things you have to take into account. One is that you really have to examine what wolves eat if you want to be accurate in talking about that. And two is that dogs aren't wolves. If I have somebody come in that tells me that their pug is closely related to a wolf, I do give a little bit of a side eye, because those genetics have been bred to be different at this point. And part of what that means is that their intestinal tract may be a little bit different. Their bacterial flora that's in the intestinal tract may be a little bit different. So no, they don't necessarily need the same thing. And frankly, there are good foods out there that if you had a wolf, you could feed them just that, and it would be well-balanced, nutritious meal. I always joke with people that if there's a zombie apocalypse, my first place to go is the clinic, and not just for the medical supplies. I have bags of dog food there, and because it's companies I trust, even a person could live off of that if need be, because it's so well balanced. You don't need something fancy. You don't necessarily want something fancy. A lot of the issues with dog foods and cat foods is that pretty much anybody can make a food and slap a label on it and sell it. It's not always regulated or checked by actual nutritionists to make sure that it's formulated correctly to give your animal all of the nutritious things that it needs. And a lot of that includes the trace vitamins and minerals that are required to keep them healthy and keep everything internally well balanced. So, there's a lot of talk about the veterinarians maybe getting kickbacks or things like that from the big companies that make dog food, and I can tell you that there's not a single veterinarian I know that gets kickbacks. I got a free pen once from Hill's Science Diet. It has little like a little cloth hair piece on top of it. That was my kickback, a free pen. So I don't get any monetary things from these things, but I do know that these companies do have veterinarians that are nutritionists on staff, and they're the ones that are formulating these dog foods to be as healthy as possible. And there's no reason why you can't spend less and actually get a better quality dog food. I love Royal Canin. I like Purina. I like Science Diet Hills. I like Eukanuba. I don't think these foods are bad. I think that Rachel Ray and some of these other foods, and I'm not a huge fan of Blue Buffalo either, to tell you the truth. Look good and do a really good job of marketing and commercials and spend a lot of money there. But if you look at it, has it really been evaluated by a true veterinary nutritionist to make sure that it's healthy for your dog? And sometimes when you call those companies, they say they have a nutritionist on staff, but they're not actually a veterinarian. They're human nutritionists. And frankly, humans and animals are different. And so they don't necessarily know what your animal needs to be healthy. So take that into account. My dogs ate Purina Pro Plan for years. The only reason they're not on Pro Plan is because I have a 13-year-old arthritic dog, and she's now on Purina prescription diet joint support. So if your dog doesn't have major issues and you just want to keep them healthy, you don't have to go crazy with the food. Just get them a good quality diet and you're fine. And if you have any questions about any of that, one of my favorite subjects is nutrition. I would be more than happy to talk with you about it. You can ask my clients that have had the nutrition talk with me. I have whiteboards in the rooms, and we go through everything to come up with what's the best diet for your pet. So I'm going to stop with this video and talk about grain-free in the next one. Thanks.